My guy, what's going on, man?
What's up, boss? How are you?
How you doing,
You want
brother?
me
I'm
to
doing
drag him
well.
over the screen so I can see him? There we go. Now I got you. I couldn't see you for a minute, so I heard your voice. I just couldn't see anything. How are you
There
doing,
we
my
go.
man?
I'm doing good, man. I like those pictures in the background, man.
Dude, I like them too. My staff tried to change them out, and I keep giving them crap for it, but I was like, no, put my pictures back.
You got
So
to keep those iconic moments, man. I love it.
that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Sammy, that's three people that have approved my pictures now. Y'all gotta not mess with my swag. So, well, hey, dude, thanks for jumping on. Can you quickly give everyone a little background on yourself? How long you've been here, what you were doing previously, and then we'll jump into some training.
Yeah, bro, for sure, man. Appreciate you having me on again. So I started with FFL about right at 19 months ago, so a little over a year and a half. And before I got here, my background is sports, which is why I commented on your on your your the pictures. But I played college football at Clemson, so I was blessed enough to play in college, and that was super dope experience. The little bit in the NFL for my rookie year. NFL for me really stood for not for long because after like a couple months, I had to call it quits. So
Yeah.
it was what it was. But after that, man, I just like, after football, I really had this just drive to stay competitive, to just keep hustling, and have that same environment just in my work life. And so I did just some different jobs, sales jobs, started and stopped a couple businesses. And then shortly after, a couple years after that, I found the insurance model through a practice company. Did that for about a year and then found FFL after that. So it's been a journey, man, but finally found the good fit where I'm supposed to be. So it's been a blessing.
Yeah, dude, and it's cool the amount of success you had, college football, and then like you said, playing briefly in the pros, and then still the drive you have now. What what do you think are some lessons you learned from playing ball at such a high level that you can apply to business with what you're doing now?
Yeah, bro, that's actually a really good question, man. I think, and it's funny too because this was probably when I first started. Actually, I looked up the average NFL salary, right, and I think it was right at just under 500 grand, right. And then knowing with FFL, how many people are able to do ridiculous numbers, right? I don't know. We can't talk about specifics, but right. So that's like the average rookie salary, and I think, okay, guys are starting at 10 years old and they're playing every single day, every single year, consistently working up for that number. And it's like to have the opportunity we have here, it's almost absurd, right? So some of those similarities, especially when it comes to football, is just having that consistency, which I know y'all's team, y'all talk about a whole lot, but it's like, hey, when we're Tuesday, Mondays and Thursdays when we have dial days, right? Like, hey, this time is when we're starting, right? Not 7 minutes after, like at this time, and then we go until we're finished. And so it's kind of similar in sports. Like if you're competing at a high level or at any level, it'd be crazy for the coach to say, hey, tomorrow we have practice at 2 p.m., right? And every day after we have practice at 2, and it'd be crazy to like not show up for that. Right. Like how absurd would it be for like an NFL player or college to be like, yeah, I had to run some errands. I didn't go to practice. Right. Or, hey, I got to do something, I can't make it today. Like that would almost be crazy. And so even the opportunity we have here now, it's like we sometimes do the same thing, like with our dial days, our run days, or whatever the case may be. So I think just learning some of those good habits of just like consistency and putting in the work and just a bunch of stuff. Yeah, man.
Yeah. No doubt. And just like you said, just being really disciplined, right? And that's one of the things I heard from when I started is like if you want to get paid like a professional, you have to act like a professional, right?
Yeah.
If
Mm-hmm.
you want to get paid like it's a hobby, or if you want to act like it's a hobby, you get paid like it's a hobby. And I think it makes a lot of sense. But like so you've been playing football since you were like probably what, like 5 years old, maybe?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Yeah.
Basically. And like one thing I wanted to touch on with you is like the perspective is it wasn't when you were five that you were going to be the guy that played for Clemson, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
think that sometimes people get started in this business and they're like, oh, I'm not the top producer yet. I'm not the Hall of Fame producer. I'm not a board member yet. I'm not an integrity partner yet. And it's like, chill, like you've been here for a month or two, right? So I'd love if you could touch on that perspective. Like, it's okay to take some time to get better, to develop your skills. And I think, there are people that it happens really fast for sometimes, but sometimes those are lightning in a bottle too, like, and it doesn't last forever. So let me go through the process of like being mentally okay with it taking some time to get good at stuff. Cause I think you've had a really good perspective on that. Like you didn't expect to be the number one guy day one when you showed up at Clemson either, right?
Right. No, no, not at all. Not at all. Especially, y'all can't see me. I'm 5'9", a buck 70, soaking wet. So, no, I don't think anybody expected that necessarily. But just like you said, man, I mean, it really is a process, and in this business in particular, it doesn't really matter where you've come from, like in a sense, starting over to build a skill that's going to pay you and your family for the rest of your life, right? So when I think about that, and that's what we say, like to a lot of our new agents and people who are coming up, it's like you are building a skill. You are building a skill that's going to pay you for the rest of your life, right? So it is going to take a process. And yeah, I mean, just like to your point, bro, it's just, nobody comes out the womb like a top producer at selling insurance, right? Probably not even, kids even wanting to sell, right? Like I'm sure yourself, you didn't think of yourself as a, the top insurance producer in the future, right? And so, to your point, bro, it just takes time. Like you said, some people hit quicker than others, but at the end of the day, whether it's selling insurance, whether it's getting good at a different skill, whether it's another business, sports, right? The discipline and the consistency is just like when your time comes, and that's probably the biggest ingredient to the whole thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, the nice part is too, is like, you don't have to be able to run a 4.4 to be like the number one producer here. You just have to be consistent and be trying to get better every day. Right.
That's
like,
it.
I couldn't have played at Clemson, like I'm slow, but you played at Clemson and I couldn't have, no matter how many times I did sprints, I never could have played at Clemson. But here, like if you dial the phone enough and run enough appointments, you're eventually going to get good at it if you're trying to get better all the time. Right.
Exactly.
So curious now, you're on track to write, help 400 families for the year, and your agency helps a bunch of families every month. What does your schedule look like now? Like how many days are you in the field? Do you do telesales too? Or what does your schedule look like for everyone? Then we can kind of, go dissect that apart a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So the schedule I ran, it just switched like recently within the last few weeks. So before that, it was just your regular, right? Monday, I'm dialing, not any time later than 8. And I'm usually finishing around 6 or 7, right? Sometimes a little bit later. Running the next 2 days, and then I'm doing the same thing on Thursday, and then usually on Saturday mornings I'll have like another dial session just to kind of fill in the weekend. So anywhere from like 8 to 11 or 8 to 10, something like that, a couple hours, and then running no less than 30 appointments. Usually the goal is about 40 per week. That's what it was before. Now I'm kind of switching to telesales, so it's more of like a 8:30 until, right? Because you're just knocking out presentations. But the numbers are the same, right? I'm trying to get anywhere from 25 to 30 full top to bottom presentations in per week.
Got it. So, and then for you doing telesales to get 20 to 30 of those in a week, what does that look like day to day? Like how many leads do you need each day? How many dials do you make in? And then you're counting a presentation when you actually like go through and quote them numbers, I would guess, right?
Yeah. Presentation. Yep. You get a good why, understand what they need. You go through their financial inventory and then quote numbers. That's a full presentation. Yep.
Got it. So do you buy leads every single day? Do you use the same leads over and over again? Or what does your lead flow and dialing look like to get the 5 presentations a day you need?
Yeah, for sure. So it's honestly a little bit of a mix, right? Usually I'm buying some, at least some are fresh to me every day, whether it's older CRM leads. I love like 1 and 3 month. So I'm hammering the heck out of those. Usually I have about at least 40 to 50 of those new to me per day. And then usually about another 40 or 50 old ones that I haven't got in contact with that I'm just shooting text messages out and seeing if they can call me back. So that'll usually get me, probably anywhere from like 15 to 20, 25 people on the phone. And out of those, I'm trying to convert 4 to 5 presentations.
And then for the lead types, you doing a mixture of internet, mortgage, some Facebook leads, other lead types, or what does your lead flow look like right now to be able to, write what you write over the phone?
Yeah, it's all internet leads, 1 and 3 month internet leads. Yeah, no, I haven't done any mortgage over the phone or anything like that.
Got it. And so you just would run your mortgage in person when those would come in, and then you just do internet leads over the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
What does your process look like for the appointments over the phone that you're running?
Yeah, like the presentation?
Yeah. But are you doing it over the phone, or are you doing it over Zoom, or is it just straight like you call them, they call you back? Like I know everyone on here probably watched Brian Holden's presentation the other day where he talked about how he used Ringy and all that stuff. So you probably have some of that going too, I would guess, right?
Yeah, I do something similar. Actually, since his call, which, after I saw that, I started doing the text message blast and stuff like that. So mine's probably 50-50. Half the time I'm outbound dialing, and the other half I'm trying to take some inbound appointments or inbound, just call back from text messages. But that's mostly what it is. And then it's all call to close. So I'm trying to do it right there on the spot, knock it out. Obviously, not everybody can do that. And if I book an appointment after that, I'm not really counting it as an appointment. I'm just like, hey, are you free tomorrow at 5? Yeah, I'll give you a call, between 5 and 6, and see if they answer. But yeah, I'm straight 1 call to close. Hmm.
So what does it look like when you're doing an outbound call and someone picks up? Like run through kind of the script, how you started off, and then how you transition into the appointment.
Yeah, sure, sure. So I'll be like, let's say we'll just do a mock real quick. Hey, ring, ring.
Yep,
Hey, Zach, this is Martin over at the Fulton County office. How you doing today?
I'm good.
Good, good. So we had received a request from you. This was, let's say I'm doing like a really old lead, right? Like a year old.
Hmm.
We had received a request from you about a year ago for the state regulated life insurance. And there's just some updates we need to get out to you. But real quick, let me verify your birthday is correct. You put down February 1st, 1955. Is that right?
That's correct.
I got you. Yep. Okay, perfect. And so I'm the underwriter that's actually assigned to you, and we're doing everything virtually now. It takes about 10 minutes. So go ahead and grab a pen and a sheet of paper, and we'll just go ahead and get this knocked out for you. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, cool. I like that. You don't even ask. You're like, dude, we're doing this right now.
We're doing
Yeah,
it right
cool.
now. Yeah.
And then what do you run into once I'm like, all right, man, I got my pen and paper. What's going on?
Yeah, so I actually just give them my tell them to write down my full name, my license number. Hey, you can go to the Department of Insurance, look up any of my credentials, my information, and then I'm hopping right into the presentation. I'm like, perfect. Have you got it already, or is this the first person? Am I the first person that you've talked to? I always like to verify if I'm doing it over the phone. Hey, if I were to send you an email while we're on the phone talking, would you be able to access that? Because then that just depends which carrier we're able to go with. And then I'm just
Mhm.
getting straight into it, so we can dive into any part of that if you want to.
Yeah, let's run through it a little bit. Give everyone some of the questions asked. So, do you
Yeah.
start off and you go, am I the first person you talk to, or have you already done this before? I would
Yeah.
assume most people are like, I talked to someone at some point, right?
It's about, I'd probably say most people say that, yeah. But some are like,
Okay.
no,
Well, let's go
I
both ways
sent
with
this
it.
in and
Yeah. Let's
yeah.
say, yeah, I'm like, I talked to someone before, but I didn't get anything.
I'd be like, oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, we've been getting a ton of these requests. And if they say they talked to somebody before, I, just ask, hey, what prevented you from getting it with that person? Right. And
Got it.
sometimes, oh, the price was too high. I couldn't qualify because of my health. I don't, just give me the answer that I need.
Okay,
And then
cool.
obviously if
And
they
then,
got it, yeah, we're straight into it.
so then I say, price was too high. I just didn't want to do it. I'm still not sure if I want anything or not.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's not a problem. I'm just the county underwriter. So at the end of the day, when you send these in, we have to make sure you at least get the coverage that you were looking for. I know price was an issue, and that's why they probably kept your file open. I'm the manager, so I have access to all the carriers for the state of X, Y, and Z. So we'll just make sure to get a price that fits, and more importantly, just make sure that you can qualify. So with that being said, boom, and I'm just going on to my next set of questions. Hey, if you were to pass away, God forbid, Zach, who's going to be responsible for handling everything financially? And then I'm just hopping straight
My
into
daughter. Yeah.
your
Yeah,
daughter.
run everyone through that too. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
useful for people to see like a full, like, kind of like the questions and how you flow through them. So yeah, my daughter
yeah,
would be the one.
100%. Okay, Zach, what's your daughter's name?
Scarlett.
You said Scarlett.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. So your daughter's Scarlett, and then does she live with you, or is she locally or out of state?
she's out of state.
Okay, cool, out of state. And everything they say, I just write it on a sheet of paper just so I can glance down and always see anything I need.
Hmm.
And so I'd be like, okay, cool. And so you said she's handling everything financially. Would it just be her by herself, or does she have some other family that would chip in? Like, what would that look like right now?
Probably be her and her husband. She's married, so
Okay,
those
just
two
her.
would probably handle it. Yeah.
Okay, her and her husband. Okay, and what makes something like this important for you, right? Like you sent in that request. Is it because she would struggle to pay for something like this, or you just don't want her having to worry about it?
Yeah, I mean, she could probably figure it out. I'd rather her not have to do it.
Rather her not have to do it. I got you. Yeah, no, that's no worries at all. And then do you make your own financial decisions when it comes to policies like this, or do you have anybody like Scarlett who helps out with these?
No, I make all my own decisions financially.
Okay, you make all your own financially. And I know you said Scarlett was married, but
Hmm.
do you support her and her husband at all financially?
No, they do their own thing.
Okay, so they just kind of do their own thing. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then it just looks
I like
like
that too. I wanted to point out to you, I know you put in there, like, do you make your own financial decisions? Like stuff like that's important to not skip over, because that way I can't at the end go, hey, I need to talk to my daughter. Because he can go, hey, well, you told me that, your daughter doesn't make any decisions for you, right? So I just wanted to point that out. I didn't mean to cut you off. So you can keep
okay,
going.
no, you're good, man. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of these questions and stuff, we're so used to saying it that like, it just becomes regular.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's important stuff though, because that's, I mean, really it's like you're going through this and you're knocking the objections out that you're used to getting. You know, you're not at the end having to go, oh, like, well, you don't need to talk to your daughter. That's why, you know, you're like, no, you already told me you didn't need her. So let's just, you know, pick whichever of these ones fit your budget, right? So
Exactly.
yeah.
So that's kind of like my why section. Honestly, there's not a whole lot more than that. Maybe I'll get into like burial. And then if they say that their family's from out of state or something like that, talking about transporting their body, stuff like that. Hey, do you want to get buried locally or out of state? But other than that, that was pretty much what I go through.
Yeah. Well, it's good too, right? Like you said, to ask extra questions to figure out how to keep building value. Like, oh, okay, you're in Colorado and your daughter's in Georgia. So she's going to take time off work, come see you, take her kids on a flight and all that. So we need to make sure there's some money in the policy built in for that. And just ask enough questions to go like, okay, like you don't need 5,000, you need 15,000. This is why. And this is how we can, justify those costs, right?
Exactly. Going through that is perfect what you said. And then even talking about inflation, since it's crazy right now.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, well, a funeral shouldn't cost but 10,000 or so right now. And I'll be like, okay, yeah, Zach, that makes a lot of sense. Now, how much do you think it cost 10, 15 years ago? Oh, it definitely wasn't that much. Da, 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 da. And it's like, well, I know we've gone through your health. You seem pretty healthy. So, if something happens a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades from now, do you think it's still going to be that same 10,000? No, it'll definitely be higher. And so just like you said, just kind of ways to help them see the value and just understand that, what they want or what they were exactly looking for an exact number may not be the best situation for them.
Yeah. And it is that time of year too. Someone asked me the other day, they were like, what do you do if someone asks about, they say I want to wait till the first of the year or inflation? I'm like, you just got to figure out how to use that stuff to your advantage, right? Like if someone's like, I can't afford it because of inflation, like, no, you can't afford not to have it because of inflation. Think about how much this funeral is going to cost then. If things are already tight now, there's no way your family's going to be able to live without your income or pay for a funeral or whatever it is, right? But, and then same thing with the Christmas one. Like people are always like, I need to wait till the end of the year. I'm like, no, we need to do this now because we need to make sure you can afford it, this time of the year during Christmas and all year round. So let's put something in place today. So
Exactly.
that's something for everyone to keep in mind as that time of year comes up, that objection gets thrown out. Like use those to your advantage and make it to where you're helping the client because you are. But we can't wait till the first of the year because then next Christmas you have to cancel it again. So let's put something in place today that we know you can afford now and all throughout the year. And if your tires blow out and anything else happens, you have a policy in place no matter what. So
that's it, man.
Yoda, I wanted to shift gears real quick.
Yeah.
That's how I do. My mind's all over the place. So
no, you're good, man.
About recruiting, how you guys started recruiting. And then, I think from your perspective too, having that, that team camaraderie. One of my recruiters said this the other day. She was talking to someone. She's like, it's good for you to bring people on because it builds a sense of community and it takes this from being a job to a career, where you're really invested in, building a community around you and helping, the people that you grew up with and that, like help them do better in life too. And I thought that was a really good point. I didn't come up with it. She came up with it, but I'm like, that's something we should talk about more. But what has recruiting been like for you building a business? And, what are some basic steps you can give people who want to start doing that, but don't know where to start, to get rolling there?
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, I think right now, especially social media is just massive, right? For one, it's free. For two, a lot of the people, especially if you're starting with your warm market, they're already going to follow you or know about you on social media, whether that's Facebook, whether that's, Instagram, it could be Twitter, whatever the case may be. So for me, starting out, what that looked like, Zach, was like, you do a ton of trainings and I might screenshot a snippet of it and post it. Or I would be on YouTube, watching YouTube trainings all the time. So I was like, you know what, let me just screen record this 15 seconds that I thought people would like. Hey, I made X, Y, and Z, or hey, I used to be this and now I'm doing this. 15 seconds reposted. Hey, if you guys want to learn more, shoot me a DM. Something as basic as that is where I started. And I think we could all do that super, super easily and start helping out a bunch more people, giving them opportunity.
Yeah. What does the initial kind of conversation look like for when you have people reach out, or if you know someone who's good that you think would be a good fit? I assume, because I did the same thing, I assume you leaned on John to help you with some of those people too, right? So like what does your kind of initial conversation look like just to gauge people's interest?
Yeah, for sure. So let's say it's like inbound and I say, comment on my story or something like that. They'll say, hey, yeah, I'm interested. What's this about? It'll almost be like in-home. Like what I realized about recruiting in general, I mean, it's really just understanding where people are, where they want to get, and like using your whatever it is, X, Y, and Z for the bridge, right? And so for us, that opportunity is going to be that bridge. Like, hey, I'm working this job. I don't like this. I don't like this. you can use that as a bridge. So I just straight up ask them, hey, what are you doing now? Hey, yeah, I'm into, X. It could be, you hear all kind of stuff, as you know. Hey, this is what I'm doing. Okay, perfect. Sometimes I'll use the overview video. A lot of the times I'll use the overview video. So, hey, this is what I'm doing right now. And we have so many interviews online too, that like, regardless of who you talk to, you can usually find somebody that's like relatable. Like you being young, or somebody else that I talk to could be like a older lady, and I might go look for a FFL, older lady video if I'm like in the preliminary interview spots, and like, hey, this is somebody who is kind of in your situation, the similar story that you just told me. Why don't you go check this out? And then when you're finished watching this, what we can do is hop on a quick 5-10 minute call to see if it, makes sense for the both of us to potentially work together and see what that looks like. And then I'll just basically, it's almost like booking an appointment, sending the preliminary video, hopping on the call. Hey, what'd you like about it? Where are you at now? Now we can deep dive, and now you're in an interview.
Absolutely. So last question I had for you is if you could tell yourself right now something, like knowing what you know now, brand new version of yourself, what would you tell yourself as a new agent to help you get to where you got to faster?
Man, that is a good question. I would say, I'd honestly say, like, go harder, like make more dials and be on the phones longer. So what my problem was, especially in the beginning, was, I would be dialing, and then I would, not book all my appointments, or I'd go for, 15 appointments and I'd only be at 11. And I'm like, man, it's 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I need to get out of here. So I'd probably say, just keep pushing and going harder. Because like, as you know, man, it's not a forever thing, especially if you do it right. But if you don't do it right, it can easily be a forever thing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, dude. Well, hey, I appreciate you getting on with us, man. I appreciate you sharing with us, and everyone, thanks for getting on today, and let's make it another great week. Thanks,
Cool,
Yoda.
man. Let's do it. See you, man.
See y'all later.